Welcome back, everyone. Another day, another batch of interesting Laker news, or maybe rumors to be the right word for part of it, and you already know that part will be about a potential trade target for them, one that has in fact been linked to their team before. But don't worry, we are not only talking about rumors here. We got a really important update about LeBron's future with their team, which will apparently not be tied to the team that drafts his son, Bronny. And many have been worried about that too, likely including their own front office. And we'll talk about both that, along with a familiar trade target that they might be looking to go after in the coming months. But before we get too far into it, I would genuinely appreciate it if you could take a brief moment to drop a like, subscribe to the channel if you have not already, and hit that notification bell so you never miss out when I upload a new video. But without further ado, let's dive right into it. And we'll begin by talking about the trade target that I referred to before, which apparently happens to be Bruce Brown Jr. of the Toronto Raptors. And if you remember back to last year around this time, the Lakers have been heavily linked to him entering free agency. According to many reports, they were hoping to sign him with their mid-level exception, though that ultimately did not end up happening, as they got significantly outbid by the Indiana Pacers, who ended up giving him a 2-year, $45 million contract, more than double of what they could have offered him. Although he did not remain there for very long. After an up and down first few months with their team, the Pacers opted to include him in a trade for Pascal Siakam, sending him to a tanking Toronto Raptors team, which many thought would lead to him getting traded again before the trade deadline. And while they apparently did try and make that happen, they were ultimately asking for a bit too much, with nobody being willing to meet their asking price. Though we do know the Lakers were one of the teams that tried to trade for him, and well, that could very well be happening again very soon. According to Doug Smith, a reporter for the Toronto Raptors, the Raptors are not only looking to trade Bruce Brown Jr., but are expected to trade him by next month, likely meaning before the NBA draft and free agency, aka he is not a part of their team's long-term future. And with that in mind here, I think the Lakers should definitely look into trading for him. After all, Bruce Brown is a guy that can fit with literally any team. He's simply that good of a role player. Though what it will come down to here is what they want for him. After all, the Toronto Raptors have been notoriously difficult to deal with. General manager Masai Ujiri tends to want a long-term return for the guys he trades away, often waiting too long to trade them, and therefore lowering their trade value, which I think ended up happening with Pascal Siakam. And I think that might be the case here again with Bruce Brown Jr. I mean, definitely not quite to the same extent, but trading for Bruce Brown on an expiring contract compared to trading for him prior to the trade deadline is a big difference, and one that should be reflected through his trade value. But again, that will ultimately come down to Masai Ujiri. You never know what the guy might ask for in return, and with the Lakers not having a whole lot of trade assets to offer them, it might become a bit difficult. Unlike at the trade deadline, they no longer have D'Angelo Russell to offer in return, and with Bruce Brown having a $23 million salary that they would have to match, that would mean them having to include one of Austin Reeves or Rui Hachimura, and not only one of them, but then having to include a little more salary filler with them. And with the Lakers reportedly only willing to trade Reeves for a star player in return, that would pretty much rule him out, meaning that Rui Hachimura would be the guy that they would look to include here, likely pairing him with a combination of Jalen Hood-Schifino and or Christian Wood to make it work financially. And that to me would be an interesting offer. I like Rui Hachimura, but there is simply not a good spot for him on their team when it really comes down to it. During crunch time, they often have to take him out in favor of a more versatile defender, which they kind of have to do with him not being a good defender. And not only that, but he and LeBron prefer to defend the same type of player, with that being a bigger power forward that does not create much for themselves off the dribble, aka pretty much a guy that stands in the corner in the dunker spot. Don't get me wrong here, Rui Hachimura is a great fit for them offensively, even being a part in their team becoming a top 3 offense after the trade deadline. But at the end of the day, they really need more two-way players, and simply put, Rui Hachimura is a one-way player. Again, no idea if Toronto would even want him, but I do think he would be the centerpiece of the Lakers trade offer for Bruce Brown Jr. if they would try and trade for him, likely having to include Jalen Hood-Schifino along with a second-round draft pick or two as well with him. And I really do think it might be worth it. You can argue Bruce Brown being a top 10 or at the very least top 15 role player in the entire league. He is a great on-ball defender, an underrated playmaker, and then is able to generate his own offense too. Though I will admit that he is a little bit shaky from the three-point line. But with him being a 37.5% career corner three-point shooter, I'm really not that worried about it. Now, I would not be making him their top priority or anything, but I definitely would be looking into it. I think that Bruce Brown would be a really good fit for them, and would really give them some much needed improvement at the point of attack on defense. But now moving on to an update on LeBron. And according to Shams Charania, he will not in fact be leaving their team if they don't draft his son Bronny. And I'll let you hear about the full report.
Like, is there a world that a team could pick Bronny just to lure LeBron?
Well, that's the thought, and it would not surprise me in the coming weeks if a team does reach out to Rich Paul or anyone else around Bronny James or anyone else has any idea, or LeBron James himself, and says, hey, if we draft Bronny James, would you come as well, LeBron? And the answer to that is going to be no, as of right now. That's not a given. That's not something that is going to be preordained. Now, listen, if the Lakers go out there and draft Bronny James, they feel like he's going to be a good fit for them. And one thing, the Lakers are in the midst of a coaching search, and one important element of that search is going to be player development and hiring someone for the next 4, 5, 6 years that can help you. Because LeBron James, I reported it, he's going to play about up to 2 NBA seasons. So the Lakers themselves, assuming they get LeBron James back, they're going to have to prepare for life without him anyway. So player development is going to be a big part of that.
I don't know about you guys, but I imagine the Lakers front office was very happy to hear that. They had likely been feeling a lot of pressure to draft Bronny, and while I do think they'll still try and draft him, I doubt they'll go out of their way to do it, meaning they likely won't make a trade for him. I mean, I guarantee they would still take him if he fell their 55th overall draft pick, but I'm not sure they're looking to trade that draft pick, along with either a role player and or cash move up into the early second round. Who knows, maybe they will, but they should no longer feel the pressure to have to do it. And don't get me wrong, I'm completely fine with them taking him. I think that Bronny will in fact become an NBA level player. Now, it definitely won't be LeBron 2.0, but it certainly could be with him resembling a guy like former Laker Avery Bradley, current Warrior Gary Payton II, or even a guy like Derek White or Drew Holiday if he really works hard. And that to me would be a great turnout for a second round draft pick, or at least if nobody would take him in the first round anyways, which at that point I think it would be a bit of a reach, and I would not rule it out either. Unfortunately, there are plenty of teams that will be looking to draft him for the wrong reasons, as many of them are looking to draft him purely for financial gain, with multiple reports coming out about teams looking to draft him for quote-unquote to sell more tickets for their G League team. And I really hate to hear that for a young player. I mean, it definitely helps that a team doing that would make him a guaranteed millionaire, but it's not like he needs much help in the financial department anyways. At the end of the day, Bronny wants to be drafted to a team that wants him for his on-court ability, not for his ability to generate revenue for them. But again, purely from the Lakers' standpoint here, I'm really glad that LeBron is not giving them the ultimatum of draft my son or I'm leaving your team. That to me would be completely unfair with how many teams want him, although the Lakers looking to improve their team by trading their draft picks, not by keeping them. But with all of that being said, what do you guys think? How do you feel about LeBron not pressuring the Lakers to draft Bronny? And then what do you think about Bruce Brown Jr. as a potential trade option for them? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. That will do it for this video though. Big thank you to those of you who took the time to watch until the end of this video, and until the end of all of my videos in general. I really hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, be sure to drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you have not already, and hit that notification bell to never miss out when I upload a video. But as always, thank you for watching and have a great day.